Welcome to Right Fit Leader, a podcast from Alec Broadfoot and the Hire with Confidence team at Vision Spark. This is where visionaries, entrepreneurs, and leaders learn how to hire leaders, lead better, and build teams that last. Through expert insights, real client stories, and conversations with top leaders, you will hear how we find A players for your business. This is Right Fit Leader.
Hi, Ben Wolf. Welcome to the EOS Conference and the Vision Spark booth and the Right Fit Leader podcast. We're excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you share with our listeners, I know what you do, but share with our listeners what you do, where you're from, and who you help.
Sure, absolutely. I'm Ben Wolf from Long Island, New York, coming from Wolf's Edge Integrators, and we're a team of amazing fractional integrators who have scaled and ran businesses, taken them where our clients want their businesses to go. They've done it before. And so we help people, most businesses between 5 and 50 million, and are having an RPRS, a right person, right seat issue on the integrator seats. And whether they're visionaries in that seat or if someone else is in that seat, maybe questions about right person or if they're not ready.
Yeah.
And we help fulfill that role, oftentimes between 12 and 24 months. And transition to amazing people like Vision Spark to help find the right long-term, full-time integrator to continue building on what we've done together.
Yeah, so that's how I know Ben. We've gotten to work together. Sometimes when clients come to us at Vision Spark, maybe looking for a full-time integrator, they realize they might not quite be ready for that step, and we're able to introduce them to people like Ben and Wolf's Edge Integrator. So when a client comes to you and they're looking for that fractional integrator for a time period, what are some things that you do to ensure that the integrator that they're going to be working with that is a good fit for where they are in their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so it's a great question when you talk about fit, because I think a lot of people think of the integrator role as sort of one thing. There's just kind of like one concept of an integrator.
Yeah.
And what we realized with some experience was that there's actually different types of integrator that are a right fit for different organizations depending on what stage of their business evolution they're at and what stage they want to get to and how fast. And so we've articulated 3 different types of integrator. We call one operational, one conductor, and one executive. We can get into the details of what that means if you want.
Yeah.
And so we use that to help determine, we do an assessment and a discovery call to help determine which of those 3 types of integrator do they need. If they currently have an integrator in there, which kind do they have, if there's a mismatch.
Yeah.
And so we have operational, conductor, and executive, all 3 types of integrators on our team with all different kinds of industry backgrounds, whether it's professional services or manufacturing, construction, SaaS, retail, all different things. Trying to match somebody who's got like the right industry background, the right type of integrator for where they are, where they want to get to, and that's how we match.
Nice. Very good. And in your experience, when you work with a lot of visionaries, have you noticed that there's some common mistakes that get made when they're trying to find an integrator on their own before they come to you for a fractional or before they come to us for a full-time integrator?
Yeah, I would say one mistake is that some people have this misconception, and I'm sure you guys find this frustrating as well sometimes, is that they think the integrator is just like, hey, whoever's like your best executor in the business,
Yes.
the person you could just rely on.
Yeah.
They're like a rock. Maybe it's the executive assistant. Maybe it's the head of operations. And maybe it's just the person who's the best at running meetings.
Yes.
Or maybe they're the biggest EOS fan, and they think that's what an integrator is.
Yes.
And so oftentimes they make a mistake and confuse project management or meeting running with being the integrator. As being the integrator is actually the number 2 leader of the business. They are the person to whom the leadership team reports, not just managing the meetings, but they're actually the one to whom the leadership team reports, has to be able to elevate that person or those people on that leadership team to become the kind of leaders and managers that the business needs them to be, both its current state and more importantly, the future state that they want to get to.
Yes.
You need somebody that, has some shoulders, that can stand up to the visionary, that can be a good filter and a real strategic partner, not just a yes man or a yes woman.
Yes.
And so it needs to be a strong leader with strong shoulders. They can carry and drive execution of the entire business. and somebody's just kind of like a good executor. It doesn't necessarily mean, it might be, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're the right person who has what it takes to fulfill that true integrator role, which is extremely different from just a project manager or EOS tool expert or fan.
Yeah, I love that definition because it brings a lot of clarity to what the person actually does and who that person might be. And then it can't just be the person you trust the most on your team.
Right.
It's really a skill set too that you're bringing, that they need to bring to the table.
100%.
Of leadership, being that number 2 leader, being able to really drive the results of the team so that the visionary doesn't have to, and they can have the freedom that comes along with being a visionary, or should come along with being a visionary.
Right. and the freedom not just to have more time for passions and things that they're passionate about or for themselves and their families, which is incredibly important, but also because to freedom to spend time on their own highest and best use within the business.
Yes.
Which is often, if you don't have a strong integrator, extremely underutilized. They're leaving millions of dollars, tons of opportunity, tons of misery on the table when they're not being freed up for their own highest and best use. The other mistake actually I think of when you ask about what are the biggest misunderstandings about the integrator role is that many people, and I bet you guys have seen this as well at Vision Spark, is that they conflate the operations role with the integrator role.
Yeah.
And they think of it as the same thing when it's two completely different roles. The operations leader is a critical role in the business, one of several seats on the leadership team, one of several functional leaders driving major functions of the business, whereas the integrator role is the one to whom the entire leadership team, including the operations seat, reports and responsible for driving execution of the entirety of the business, elevating the entire leadership team. Now, oftentimes, maybe the same person sits in both of those seats, especially full-time. Obviously, fractional, we don't do that. We're just fully focused on the integrator role.
Yeah.
Someone else in the operations seat. That's a big mistake and a big conflation that we do often see. And the people have a big aha moment when we point out that those are actually two separate seats, two separate hats.
Yes. Yeah, I think we see it most frequently in smaller companies when they're trying to combine they do it in other departments too, combine multiple seats into one thing. Yeah. And then the idea is that when the company scales and grows, they separate them. And we see it often in the work that we do too. I think why people can put those two roles together so much is because a lot of times the personality is similar for an integrator and operations manager, but as Ben pointed out, it's two separate roles because there's so much work involved in both roles and driving good results in both roles. So
100%.
like EOS Pure teaches, right People, right seats, and all the seats should be well defined and properly laid out. So thank you so much, Ben, for being here today. We learned a lot from you, always do when we talk to you, and we appreciate your partnership in working with you.
Thank you so much.
And if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they find you?
They can look me up at wolfsedgeintegrators.com. You can find out all about us, the 3 types, get some assessments to figure out what you need, and determine if now is the time for Vision Spark and finding the right long-term full-time integrator, or fractional is a good bridge. You could, have to figure out, and we could refer to each other if depending on what they need.
Great. Well, thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
My pleasure. You too. Thanks you.
Yep.
Thank you.